All right, so we are on lesson number 2 of our journey toward true love. So we're starting with true love, the definition being to love, to be true to yourself and to someone you love. So it begins with you. So these first few sessions are all going to be about self-love, and starting today with self-awareness. So self-love can't happen unless you know who you are, why you do the things you do, what you want. So self-awareness is the essence of the clarity and confidence that a woman needs to move forward in life. So self-awareness is gaining that clarity over your past, your present, and your future, and the confidence to stand firmly for what you believe and who you are in each of those phases. I apologize, my dogs are going crazy at the moment because I just locked them out. Alright, so I want to start today with a recap of last week. So last week we talked about our intentions. We did introductions, and I apologize. Let me just go let them inside. They're going to be ridiculous today. He wasn't even locked outside. He was just having a fit because the neighbor's out there. So, all right. Sorry for the interruption. So last week we focused on our group introductions. So I got a chance to read each of yours in the Facebook group. Thank you very much. So I invite you all to take time to find those in the Facebook group to know who is in this group with you. And this will be a Facebook group that lives much past the 12 weeks of this program, and as I continue to offer it in the future, those women will join the same group, and then you'll be able to connect with them as this group grows larger, full of women who are connecting with their true selves and looking for true love. All right? All right, so, last time we talked about our introductions and my commitment to stand for you and your worthiness of love and your journey, and remind you of your true essence along the way. And then I shared a story of my journey and kind of how I have progressed through the seasons over the years, and then invited you to not only introduce yourself on the Facebook group, but to really talk about what your intentions are going forward, and if it helps to create a vision board to do that, and then to really imagine it and feel it coming true for you. So I invite you to continue doing that even after last week, to every morning or every night before you go to bed, but when you're in a place of quiet contemplation, to just imagine what your goals are. Imagine them happening for you. Imagine what that feels like, what it looks like, who's celebrating with you, all of those things. So I invite you to truly feel into this vision so that you can see it in your imagination and believe it so that you can see it in your reality. So moving into this week, self-awareness is the beginning of self-love. So to love yourself, you must first know yourself. And self-awareness is what I find is hardest. It's something that I think is why it's so hard to be in elementary school and high school and even as an adult in certain workplaces, because people don't know themselves. They don't have confidence in themselves. And if you don't have confidence in yourself, you start comparing yourself to others. And that's where people get judgmental or feeling like a victim or just not feeling their full essence, their full light coming to life in whatever situation they're in. It can happen between two people in a relationship. If you don't know yourself, you start finding yourself compromising on things that when they start to build up, you realize you are no longer any resemblance of who you thought you were or who you want to be, because you've compromised on so many things that seem little at the time, but if you don't know yourself, they start to add up. Whereas if you truly know yourself and you have full self-awareness, you know where you won't compromise. You know when you stand for something, you know when you're open to ideas, but that things resonate with you, things feel right, things feel light, versus heavy or wrong or resistance within you. And so becoming aware of those feelings in your body is the first step of self-awareness. So going back to my story of last week. So I broke up with that gentleman without any concept of why. I mean, on paper it looked great. Even in the bedroom it felt great. As a friendship it felt great. Like everything seemed fine. But luckily, without having much self-awareness, I did trust my intuition eventually. Like I said, it was a lot of off and on again, but eventually I stood by my intuition and followed through with my heart guidance. And that was my first step towards self-awareness. And then it was, for me, years of building that self-awareness to gain that clarity, to get that confidence, so that by the time I met my husband, I was a full embodiment of my true self, so that I could bring that into a relationship. So I knew exactly what I was looking for. I knew exactly who I wanted to be in that relationship. I knew exactly who could support that woman in a relationship. It just became very clear. And so it was very easy to find the right person. Whereas the me from the 2 decades that I spent looking, I didn't even know what I was looking for because I didn't know who I was. All right, so this is why we start here. If you're looking for true love, you have to start within you and know who you are, what you want it to feel like, what you want it to look like, and why. Most importantly, why? Why are those things important to you? Why do you feel like you need a partnership or want a partnership? Why is the big question behind all of this. So I invite you to take all of the intentions that you wrote for yourself last week. If you did any of the journal prompts, they were all kind of a different way of formatting the same question. What is your intention? So this week I want you to go back through those and ask yourself, why? Why is that important? Day. Why is that important to me? And practice I love doing with women that I coach is the happiness list. So if you haven't done this with me already, a happiness list is a list. I have mine 12-point font printed on the side of my dresser so that it's not like my vision board where I see it every day, but it's there, it's available for me to look at. So if I start to feel down or tired or just a little bit lifeless or bored, I can refer back to this list of things that make me happy. And it can be anything from indulgences, a glass of champagne, a piece of chocolate, a walk in the moonlight, looking at the stars. It can be things that inspire the healthy feeling of being alive. So going for a run, going for a hike, taking my dogs for a walk, playing outdoors with my son, soaking in the sunshine, getting my daily dose of vitamin D. It could be bigger goals, but you want to keep them all pretty attainable at a moment's notice. So that if you're feeling down, almost anything on this list is something you can do in a short amount of time with a small amount of money, so that there's a low barrier limiting you from any of these things. That these are things that you can do right now for yourself to make you happy. And so having the self-awareness just to create that list is so enlightening if you haven't done this for yourself before. So that is one of the assignments. Your love assignment for this week is to create your happiness list. If you've already created one in one of my programs in the past, I invite you to simply update it, maybe add to it, see if things have changed that no longer bring as much happiness, that you might want to replace with things that you have since found to bring you more happiness. But the idea is to have this list available to you on a daily basis so that essentially you can start dating yourself, courting yourself, loving yourself, so that you don't need a significant other to do these things for you. If having fresh flowers in the house is on that list, go buy yourself a bouquet. Go to the farmer's market. Go to the grocery store. Go to the garden depot, and maybe it's a potted plant. Whatever it is that brings you joy, start doing those things for yourself. Make yourself a priority. And have the self-awareness to know what those things are. Okay? So self-awareness too is knowing what you're looking for in a significant other and knowing why that's important to you, why it resonates with you. So if you want someone who does buy you flowers, not only put that on your happiness list and do it for yourself, but also ask yourself, why is that important to me? Is it because your love language is gifts? Is it because you want to feel appreciated? Do you need them to not only give you the flowers, but to say, thank you for doing blank, if it's appreciation as your love language? If it's simply the beauty of nature, knowing that about yourself and putting more of that into your lifestyle can really boost your energy, your confidence, your happiness, your joy, and that makes you more attractive to others as well. So again, that is why we start within. We start with ourselves to be able to not only be the best self that we can be, but also because that is also the most attractive self that we can be as we're looking for true love. So to get on to the story I shared last time with not knowing why I was breaking up with him, trusting my heart wisdom to go forward with it, go through with it, I then spent an enormous amount of time on this single area of self-awareness, because I realized if I didn't know why I was breaking up with him, that was a complete lack of self-awareness. Or the guys I had dated before him that weren't right for me at all, some of them were huge mistakes, some of them just were bad timing, but whether they were more sexually explorative than I was at that time, or if they were more outgoing partiers while I wanted to be introverted, or if they were, too nice, too cocky, too attentive, too aloof. I would go bounce back and forth between the bad boy and the too nice guy, between every relationship that I did. And it was because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I belonged, what was a good fit for me. I just knew that this didn't work, so I'd go to the complete opposite the next time, instead of taking time to just sit with myself and be like, okay, what exactly didn't work? I would think, just attract assholes, or, I just attract weak guys, or, it wasn't that, that just doesn't work for me. I don't like guys that smoke pot all day, or that flirt with other women, or, whatever it was that were the little red flags that I would compromise on, because I thought in the bigger picture, on paper they're great, they're successful, they're charismatic, they're handsome. Whatever it was, I thought enough of the boxes were checked that I could make it work. And what's interesting is once you learn self-awareness. And once you come to love yourself, that doesn't happen. It's not accepting things that don't feel right for you. It's not looking at the bigger picture and thinking, oh, everyone has little problems, I can't be too picky. It's just, it doesn't register that way in your mind anymore when you find yourself and then you find your equal in someone else. Yeah, we all have our quirks and things, so you're gonna find someone that has quirks and you're still gonna have quirks, but you're gonna be in a position where you don't judge those. They aren't red flags. You've found someone that is your equal because they are as comfortable in their own skin as you are comfortable in your own skin, and you're aware of things that you might want to still work on, whether individually or as a relationship together. But it's not like you're checking boxes and you have to just accept that some of them aren't going to get checked, or deal with, he's great in so many ways, it's just this one thing that keeps coming up over and over and over again until you learn to love yourself enough to walk away from what doesn't serve you. That is not true love. That is not loving yourself. That's not being true to yourself. And you can't easily fix it once you're in that situation. It really comes from stepping back, pulling all of yourself back into yourself. The author of Women Who Run with the Wolves says that being alone has been thought of through ancient tribes and religions, that being alone is becoming all one. The word alone actually refers to all one. And so it's taking that time to just gather yourself back into yourself. All the pieces from all the relationships that you've dabbled in the past, or from your childhood history, whatever parts of your soul and heart are still out there, taking time to sit in quiet contemplation, in silence, alone, gives you that opportunity to bring it all back to yourself and to become all one again. And within doing that, you become self-aware. You become aware of how it feels to have all of you and to have agency over what you are creating in this lifetime, and what you want it to look like, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what's important to you, what you are willing to compromise on, but knowing those things that you draw a line on certain things, whether it's if you do or don't want kids, if you do or don't want them to have kids, if you do or don't want an open relationship, if you do or don't want a lot of money. People have different views on what successful living is. So finding a partner that has a similar vision, you start to know, so that you can walk into any situation, a blind date, a bar, meeting someone on the street, whatever it is, and can easily go through and just through the vibe. It's not checking boxes, it's just the energy vibe with you knowing who you are, standing in your full, beautiful essence as a proud woman with integrity and intention. And does that resonate with who they are and what they stand for and how you guys can come together or not? It makes it really easy. So this week is all about self-awareness. So one of the assignments, and we can do it as a journal prompt, I invite you to think of your favorite story, whether it's a book, a movie, whatever it is. Maybe it's a TV show, but think of a favorite story. And then I invite you to look at the character that you like the most in that story, or that you relate to the most in that story, because we tend to be drawn to stories that, for one of two reasons, either their tragedy is something we can relate to and we want to see them triumph, or their joy is something we can relate to or that we want to experience. So the beginning stages of self-awareness, sometimes it's easier to look outside of ourselves. So I invite you to look at your favorite movie or your favorite book and ask yourself, why am I drawn to this character? Do I relate to her tragedy or even him? It doesn't have to be gender specific. But why am I drawn to this? What does it tell me about me? How are they a reflection of me? And journal it, think about it, meditate it, so that you start to become more self-aware of who you are and what's important to you and what you stand for. And then another way to do this is to look at the 5 people closest to you that make you feel good. What traits is it about them that bring out the best in you? So look at what those traits are in them and what traits in you it's highlighting or enhancing or inspiring, and jot those down. And then take a look at people, maybe it's past relationships or childhood trauma or just people along the way, maybe coworkers that you just didn't vibe with really well. Take note of what it was in them that created resistance in you or judgment in you or uneasiness in you, and jot those down so you become self-aware of what doesn't work for you. And I, as an intuitive person, I kind of did all of this without realizing it. I could just walk down the street and know if someone's energy vibes with mine. I knew what that feeling felt like. So I'm sure, because I tend to attract women who are also very intuitive, that all of you do a lot of this already, but probably not as intentionally as what I'm asking you to do this week. So get intentional about identifying that feeling within your body and registering in your mind consciously why it is the way it is in your mind, why it feels good, why it feels light, why it feels heavy, why it feels dark, and what those feelings are for you, because everyone's different. Someone could be, I've spoken to a woman recently as I'm doing my research for my book on women who believe they are experiencing true love. And one of the ones that I spoke with recently, she was so excited to share her story because she finally found herself being expressive and appreciated and finding joy. And the way she's done it is through a partnership with a gentleman that is very into BDSM and just a different alternative sex life that she never considered before, that she never was open to before, that she's still not able to share with everyone in her life, that that's something she's found for herself, but it's allowed her to be so expressive. And it's a monogamous relationship that she has with the man that she's dating, but it is an open relationship for these experiences. And she's found that every Monday they have a check-in of what worked for you, what didn't work for you, what did you like, what do you want more of, what do you not want more of. And so whatever process you have to go to, that may be a bit extreme for some, but it's given her the opportunity to find self-awareness, to find her boundaries, to find her what's important to her and what makes her feel good and what doesn't make her feel good. So I invite you to explore however you need to explore, that you find self-awareness. So the 3 things I did for those 5 years after getting out of that relationship that I had been in for 7 years, obviously not knowing myself at all because it was good but not great. For the next 5 years after we broke up, my focus was self-awareness. And the way that I did that was through 3 things: traveling, dating, and entrepreneurship. That was my tripod of self-awareness. So you may find it in whatever hobby you enjoy, but I do find that dating is a real good way to do it, but you have to date with intention. You have to do a recap with yourself at the end of each relationship of what didn't work, what did work, what did I like, what did I not like, and not with judgment of, I can't stand them, that's why we broke up, I don't want to think about it. Just really check in with yourself so that next time you know, that's what a red flag felt like. I need to pay attention to that much earlier next time so that those don't add up. Or that's what compromising on something that was actually important to me felt like. And so I need to recognize that feeling and not compromise on things that are so important to me the next round, or at least be more open in my communication of the importance of it to me so that I can decide how I want to or don't want to compromise on those things. So dating, hugely helpful. Like I said, did 20 years of it, so a lot of self-awareness through dating. But traveling was huge for me. At one point, I remember being single and fabulous in my own home that I owned, but my credit cards were completely maxed out, and I was living paycheck to paycheck because I was traveling my little booty off. I would go anywhere the wind would blow. If any friend recommended the opportunity to do any vacation or trip, I was on board. Sign me up. Yes, I will. I was in sales, so I always felt like I'll, sell enough the next commission round to be able to afford it, and got myself in a bit of trouble for a while there. But it was what I needed to find that self-awareness, to get myself so removed from my daily routine that I could have an outside perspective of what is important to me. What do I feel I want this life to look like? What makes me feel alive, even when I'm not around these people, not around this job, not around this location? What is still me when those aren't a factor? What's still important to me? What still makes me feel excited and alive and exuberant? And so that was all me researching self-awareness for myself. And then entrepreneurship was huge. I would say that was the final pivotal moment in me doing the work that needed to be done for me to be able to attract the husband that I have now, because entrepreneurship will knock you on your ass so many times. I mean, starting my first business was, I had an investor that he was a client when I was an art consultant, and when I told him that the owner of the business and I just had different visions, and I was planning on moving to Napa to work for an art gallery there and just try something different, and he was like, your network is here, your passion is here, your family is here. This is while I was single, but my parents are in town. And he's like, no, take what you have and run with it. I will invest in you. And so thanks to him, I started my first art consulting business. And I knew I didn't want to do it alone, so I grabbed one of the gals that worked at the company with me, and we started it together. And just the process of developing a logo, developing a brand, developing our marketing statement and PR, and decorating our office, and all of that was a huge task in self-awareness. And then that's when I started working with coaches and mentors and discovering who I truly was. What impact did I really want to have on this world? And was it possible through art consulting, or did it need to be through other avenues? So I ended up selling my portion of that business, and eventually opened my own art gallery, which led to artist coaching, which led to this as a life coach. And those evolutions were all the result of continued practice of self-awareness, knowing what works, building on it, and then dropping what no longer served me so that I could focus more energy on what did feel good, did feel right, did feel like me. All right. So I invite you to find whatever your avenue of self-awareness is. Prior to the 5 years of dating, traveling, and entrepreneurship, I had always had a practice of journaling. I have journaled since I could barely write. And so that's been a huge part of my self-awareness. I feel like I've always been relatively self-aware, even before that 7-year relationship and the many relationships I had before that. and just being an only child and having a lot of time to think about what I wanted, who I was, but also a lot of time to doubt who I was, and not knowing really what I wanted because I didn't know who I was. So I invite you to find those hobbies or activities that are a little beyond your comfort zone. Because it was easy for me to sit in my childhood and journal a lot, and it was easy for me to sit in that comfortable 7-year relationship and journal and stuff, but never really discover who I was because I never tested those boundaries. I never tested the beyond my comfort zone. So whether it's skiing or crafting or dating or travel or entrepreneurship or whatever it is for you, I mean, one of you is on an epic honeymoon vacation right now, so I as much as we've talked in the past, it sounds like you're an avid traveler as well, so that may be an avenue for you to discover more of yourself. So I invite you, when you're traveling and you're sitting on the plane or the train or whatever, kind of the visualization I did with you guys last week, is to look out the window and just breathe into the eternal space that you are allowed to occupy in this world. It could be here, it could be in France, it could be in Italy, it could be in Africa. You have the ability to be and do anything you desire. So I invite you to find time to really decide what that is, who you want to be. Do you want to live in a house in the city or the countryside? Do you want to have 10 kids or 1 or none? Do you want to have some expertise that is so renowned that you are like celebrity, either within your community or around the world? And do you have a partner, or do you want to attract a partner that is in that same field or is grounding to you when you don't want to be in the spotlight? Really just decide, what does your future look like without anyone else's influence? I don't want what your parents imagine for you. I don't want what your current significant other imagines or hopes for you or is comfortable with for you, or the ideal partner that you dream of, what you think would work for them, and you try to be that to attract them. No. This is all about you. What is your ideal vision of yourself in the future? Once you become very clear on who she is, boom, you can attract the right person for her. Okay? So let me just check on my itinerary today if I got through everything I meant to talk about. So yeah, self-love is the foundation of every program that I create, every retreat that I'll do. This is my mission on this planet. My personal mission statement is to spread self-love. And my mantra is to love myself so that I can love others, and to love others so that they may love themselves. That is, I believe, why I'm on this planet, why I've been blessed with the life and experience that I've had, and the opportunity that I get to share my stories, share my tips and tricks and encouragement, and hopefully inspire more people to love themselves. And the first step towards doing that is to be aware of who you are. So it takes a lot of introspection. I'm going to read a few of the things that, and I'll put this in a post in there because this is a lot, but if you're taking notes, you can kind of get a few of these. So self-awareness is, my idea of self-love is loving yourself, mind, body, and spirit. So self-awareness is all about the mind and focusing on loving how you think, why you think the way you do, and everything about your mind's integration with who you are. So these are a few things to focus on while you're doing that. So it's the process of discovering what you think and why, reflecting on your past experiences and how they inform your story, deciding if the story of your past is serving your vision of the future, recognizing your habits, patterns, and beliefs, knowing your strengths and weaknesses, your traits and flaws, and being grateful for it all, separating your own beliefs from those that have been handed to you, identifying your fears and limiting beliefs, clarifying your dreams, goals, and inspirations, choosing what impact you will have in this lifetime, feeling and loving whatever emotions arise with you in the moment, always, trusting your curiosity, your interests, and your joy, and knowing what feels light or heavy, what feels right or wrong, what feels fun or dreaded, and what feels in flow or a resistance within you. So I find that procrastination is oftentimes a huge indicator of something that you're feeling resistant towards. So I invite you, if you feel like you procrastinate anything, I don't judge procrastination. I think it's actually a very useful tool as long as we stop to look at why we are procrastinating. So again, practicing self-awareness. So if it's because it seems like a waste of your time, then I invite you to think of ways that your time, that you could maximize your time. Either delegate the task or find ways that it can, doesn't need to be done, or maybe not as often. If it's something in your job, maybe it's not in alignment with your zone of genius, the things that come easy to you, or use your gifts to their best degree. So just, if you find yourself procrastinating, know that that is a sign of resistance. It means you're not in flow. And sometimes it's just your intuition saying it's not the right time yet. And that's why you procrastinate. But just be honest with yourself that you don't have to judge yourself for, I keep putting that off. Just be like, yeah, it's not the right time, and so I will do it when it is the right time. So whatever that is, as soon as you get self-awareness around it, all of a sudden you gain that clarity and confidence. Confidence comes from clarity. Self-awareness is the clarity. So if you have things that in other relationships maybe that haven't worked, that you felt like they judged you for certain things, or they didn't like you for certain things, or they broke up with you for certain things, look at all of those. I mean, even our greatest flaws, one of the activities that we can do this week is to write all your flaws, your perceived weaknesses, a list of them. And then to read them all back to yourself as, I love this about myself. And as soon as you can say that honestly, you've achieved the clarity of self-awareness that is starting to anchor into you as self-love. Because as soon, let me try and think of something that seems trivial. So even procrastination. As soon as you can say, my ex always, got on me about being lazy or being, procrastinating, or even a former employer, if they get on you for, not getting done on deadline or whatever it is, if you can read that back and be like, I love myself for procrastinating. If that doesn't feel fully true for you now, turn it into a statement that does feel true. I love that I am identifying why I procrastinate. Find something you love about every flaw, every weakness that you think you have, or that you have absorbed that other people have thought about you, and turn it into something that feels true for you to say that you can love about it. I love that I am working to identify these this thing about me, or I love that I am becoming more aware of this. I love that I am learning how to do such and such. Whatever it is, to eventually, I want you to be able to say, I love this about me, and make it true about what others may perceive as your flaws or weaknesses, because honestly, the things you are most self-conscious about are the things that are probably some of your greatest gifts. They are what make you unique. They are part of why you are the way you are, to complete the destiny that you are on this planet to achieve. And without those little quirks, you wouldn't be you. And you wouldn't be able to do the thing that you're meant to do on this planet. Okay? So I invite you to know that all of you, everything about you, is important, is significant, is not to be compromised willy-nilly. Know that that is who you are. Know that it is for a reason. And take pride in discovering what can be done with it, why it is a gift. And that is self-awareness. And that is the start of self-love, which is the start of attracting true love. All right? Let me just make sure that kind of covers everything. Oh, we haven't done a visualization. All right, we have about 10 minutes. Okay, so I invite you to just get comfortable where you're seated. You can even do these lying down as a meditation, but in your chair, if you just sink with your bottom into the support beneath you, imagine yourself rooting through that support into the earth beneath it, down to the center of the earth where the fire of everything of this life of planet Mother Nature Earth is thriving within you by being rooted into her, plugged in, turned on, tuned in. And let's just breathe for a minute at your own pace, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Just appreciating the abundance of Mother Earth and all she provides for you. The abundance of oxygen that you don't even have to work for, think about. It just is there for you, as is everything meant for you. And just enjoy the sunlight of this beautiful day. I can't believe it's January and like 66 degrees out there. I hope you all get a chance to walk in nature at some point today. And breathing in, breathing out, finding the natural rhythm. If you feel a little more agitated or active today, just focus on your breathing. So I invite you to think of a time that you may have experienced when it felt like everything was crumbling all at the same time. It could be family relations, romantic relations, your pets, your siblings, your parents, your job, your employment, your clients, your vendors, your house, things breaking, falling apart, needing fixed. Everything just seems to come at once. Your car, all the things, health items, all the things. Just remember a time when it felt like it was all crumbling around you. And it just, that heightened awareness of discomfort and anxiety and the scarcity mindset and the tension and all that comes from that feeling of not abundant, not having enough time, not having enough resources, not having enough. And I invite you to pause and remember that feeling. And remember that the next time you get even the slightest hint of it, that inkling that just is the first domino, to remind yourself to step back, to stop before it requires any more dominoes falling over, to remind yourself that you create your reality. Your reality is a reflection of your inner thoughts. And so if you get that first domino feeling, I invite you to just stop and remind yourself, I am enough. And breathe. And have the self-awareness to know that you get to choose how many dominoes are falling this time. And with that, I invite you to the juicy part of when you fully love yourself and trust in the way things are, to know that when those dominoes fall, they are falling for you. It is actually not something to get anxious over or to feel scarcity about. It is actually the universe offering you a gift, peeling back the layers that no longer serve you, ending the relationships that no longer serve you, getting rid of things that you stress over or invest money in that no longer serve you, peeling back the layers so that you can shine bright as your true identity, your true self, your true woman that you are on this planet meant to become, that you may learn your lessons the easy way or the hard way. It is your choice. But you are here to learn them and to, through them, become the best version of yourself. The phoenix rising from the ashes of all that crumbles around you, knowing and being able to say thank you for this opportunity to shine brighter, to take up more space, to be more of my true self every day in a new way, reborn as myself. And I invite you, anytime you feel an inkling of stress, to imagine this phoenix rising and know that on the other side of every lesson, whether you choose to learn it the hard way or the easy way, and I can talk more about how we can choose to flow with ease, but know that everything that feels hard is happening for you. It is divinely perfect. Whatever situation, whatever hardship, whatever ending is happening for you, and you will rise above it. You are meant to get through it. And that is why we're here in this human body, to experience human things in all their tragedy and all their beauty, to become more self-aware as the woman you truly are. So go forth this week, pay attention. How do things feel in you? What's important to you? And why? I invite you to love yourself more every day. You deserve more love, not less. I love you.